She's from Temple Shalom Free School in Newton. She was involved with the Boston-Haifa over the years, and she's going to share with us some of the art that she learned there and what she's doing with her class.
Okay. Hello, everybody. As Rachel said, I was lucky enough to make this my 4th trip with Boston-Haifa. And one of the things from my very first trip until this trip that has really resonated with me is the Israeli approach to teaching art and to using art in the Gan. Not only for giving children art experiences, but different threads in all parts of their curriculum, and really focusing, and a bad pun here, on having children see and helping children see, using their eyes, using their hands, using materials, and really being very deliberate as they explore the materials, look at what they're doing, and then take it to other areas of the curriculum. A couple of years ago, on one of our trips, we started using a bunch of posters, of large format posters of Israeli artwork that we've been using in the classroom. And we also have a series of smaller series that was taken from a workshop we did at the Israel Museum a couple of years ago that focused on Jerusalem. This year we have Kat from our school, who is also an artist, has been partnered up with Rachel Solomon, who runs a Gan Milo in Haifa, which is a very specialized, focused art school. There are a couple of in Haifa. I've been to 2 different ones. And this was my 2nd visit to Rachel's. And the children from the Gan all over Haifa go to the Gan Milo a couple of times a year for very highly structured art experiences that last for a good hour and a half or so. And it was fascinating that to watch this happen. I've actually had 4 visits now to various Gan Milo, and seeing how the teachers are structuring the program, helping the children use the materials, have a fabulous experience, and then also hopefully bring that experience to their own Gan, so the teachers that came with the children. Sorry, just can't hear you.
Wire me up?
Yeah.
Okay. So the children who have those experiences can percolate through the Gan during the times when they don't go to the Gan Milo for these special experiences. In trying to bring these experiences to our school, we've been using these art posters for various projects. Posters that are by Israeli artists, and also that might be showing parts of the Jewish life cycle, physical areas of Israel, Jerusalem, the Galilee fields, so helping children know more about the physical parts of Israel, and also how to structure the lessons to help children, as I was saying, focus on what they're doing, look at placement, look at line, look at color, think about how to use materials. This past week, in my class, as a kind of extension of Hanukkah and light and dark, my class had been doing some work with space and planets and darkness and night sky. Actually on the painting to help children look in the frame, so to kind of close out what a little detail to be looking at. Another strategy she used, and for looking at our red sun here. It's actually on the painting to help children look in the frame so sun. What else were we seeing? We were seeing brown. Where's the brown? The brown is at the bottom. So I would have a child, as Rachel had been doing with a different painting, hold the brown up here. What else? Oh, we have yellow. Where was the yellow? You know, having children, you know, make those kind of representations. And then using the frame to look more closely at the details, and the children were able to see changes in the patterning. What made those? That was brush strokes. Taking a brush, and again a dry brush against the painting, and finding out how to do those brush strokes. After we had looked closely at that painting in that manner, I had set up 2 different media for the children to work in, as I've seen done at the Gan Milo. At the Gan Milo that we had visited, there were all different kinds. I think she probably had maybe 6 or 7 different media that the children could go back and forth to and spend as much time at as they wanted. I chose to keep it simple with 2. We did paint and paper collage, and I had no idea really what was going to be happening. But what happened was children, and I teach in a mixed age class. I have some children who have barely turned 3, others who are well into their 4s. And each child approached this with great seriousness, spent a huge amount of time at what they were doing. I had, you know, some of the younger children were just, I mean, this was a 3.5-year-old. This is really the first time I've seen him do any kind of representational art, and I think it was simply because he had spent so much time looking and verbalizing at what he was seeing. I had some, again, this was a under 4-year-old who tore paper. He was looking at the detail, you can't really see, but there are little flowers down here, and he decided he tore paper to make his little flowers down there. And kids were doing it in very, very different ways. And they were going back and forth and back and forth, and each time doing something very different, either to explore what they were seeing or to explore the materials. And then at the very end, a couple of them had the idea to combine the 2 media. And unfortunately, time was up by that point, but that's an idea I want to continue in the next lesson. Because as Rachel structures her lessons, they all kind of build on the last one. So it's a very exciting approach. We've used it in different ways at school. Sometimes we've done it as part of a Shabbat art experience. Sometimes during different curriculum units we're doing. There are all kinds of ways of pulling this in. Okay. Well, in any case, just as you can see up there, I have some photos of at the Gan Milo and others that we had done in the school itself. But it's a strategy and a concept that works so well with preschoolers, and I'd be very happy to talk until the cows come home more about it and see where we can go with it.
Thank you very much. I hope that it's not going. Rachel Schwartz, she's working at the JCC Early Learning Center in Acton. For Rachel, it was her second time. First time she went with Birthright. So it was a different experience. The first time is to working, to look at things with the view of an educator, which is very different, I think, when you go with Birthright or if you go to a family tour. It's really seeing things and thinking about your classroom, what you're going to bring back. So it's a very different kind of seminar.
So as Rachel said, my name is Rachel Schwartz. I work with 3 and 4-year-olds at the JCC in Acton. And this was my second time in Israel. I had been on Birthright about 4.5 years ago, and it was a very, very different experience. I feel like I was experiencing Israel through a more adult lens and through a teacher's lens, and we did a lot of different things this time, and we did some of the same things, but I feel like I got a lot more out of it this time. I was more focused on learning and gaining information, and not as focused on like the social aspect as I was when I went on Birthright. So I made a presentation about Hanukkah in Israel, and stand over here. Is that better? Okay. And there is nothing like celebrating Hanukkah in Israel. As soon as we arrived in Israel, we were met with celebration and the Hanukkah spirit. There were people lighting a Hanukkiyot right here at the information desk when we arrived at Ben Gurion Airport. On our way to Jerusalem on the bus, you look out the window and you see Hanukkiyot on every corner and on every lamp post, and it's just everywhere. It's surrounding you. We went to the Kotel on the 7th night of Hanukkah, and there were Hanukkiyot there. There were oil Hanukkiyot, and at the Kotel, you're surrounded by Jewish people of all denominations. And we went to the Jewish quarter, and you could see that there were so many people gathered in Jerusalem to celebrate Hanukkah, that people come from all over Israel, from all over the world, to celebrate in the place where the miracle occurred. And that was really neat to see. We went to the shuk, and at the shuk we saw sufganiyot and dreidels and Hanukkiyot, and it was everywhere in comparison to here. If you go into a CVS around this time, it's very hard to find Hanukkah-related things. You see a lot of Christmas things, but here in Israel, I really felt like I was part of the majority as a Jewish person, which was a really neat feeling. In downtown Jerusalem, we were walking down the street towards the Nachlot neighborhood, and we saw some city buses coming by, and they had the words Hanukkah Sameach on the buses, and that was just a really neat thing to see. And in the Nachlot neighborhood, we were welcomed into the home of a family, and we sang songs, and their children were playing the drums and dancing, and we lit the candles together and ate sufganiyot, and it was just so nice to really feel that value, that Jewish value of welcoming guests into your home, and we really felt welcome, and it was just so nice to see how a Jewish family was celebrating Hanukkah in their neighborhood in downtown Jerusalem. You can see the oil Hanukkiyot and the Hanukkiyot in their windows that we all had a chance to light. It was just a very spiritual and warm experience. We went to an educational supplies store in Jerusalem, and we saw lots of different materials for making Hanukkiyot, for making oil jugs, and we saw different crafts and Hanukkah-related activities and dreidels and visuals that you could hang in your classroom, and stickers and books. So that was really neat to see. And then when we went to visit the Ganim, it was right after Hanukkah had ended, and they still had all of their Hanukkah decorations up in the classroom, and I was so amazed and inspired by how creative they were making their Hanukkah decorations. They used a lot of recycled materials, they used natural materials. Like you can see, there's a Hanukkah made with acorns and seashells. And at one of the gans, they had the younger children put their hands on paper like this, and the older children traced their hands, and together they decorated the Hanukkah together, which I thought was a really nice idea. In one of their book areas, they had the story of Hanukkah with pictures and sequins. I really liked that. They had dreidels available for exploration, and the kids, I noticed, were much more skilled than ours at spinning the dreidels. I don't know if it was because they're a little bit older than my children or if they have had more exposure and more practice, but it was really fun to spin the dreidels with them and see their different techniques that they had on spinning the dreidels. Also in the Gan, in one of the Gans we visited, the teacher was doing a music and movement kind of a lesson during their meeting, and she had these movements, so that it was like you were pretending you were a dreidel and you were spinning faster and spinning slower, and she had this to, I think, classical music, which I thought was really neat. And then in Haifa, it was a very different experience. Haifa is a very diverse city. They have more than 5 religions being practiced there, including Judaism, Christianity, Islam. They have a Baha'i community and a Druze community, which I had never heard of either of those communities or religions before, so that was interesting. And in the German colony, I was walking and I saw a Christmas tree and a Hanukkah together on a lamppost, and I was just so inspired by that. I felt like it was a real symbol of different religions living in harmony in Haifa, and that they really respect each other and their differences. And so it was just really amazing, like I said, to experience Hanukkah in Israel. The spirit of Hanukkah was all around. And I really wanted to bring the feeling back to my community in Acton. And I feel like I can do that by really making the environment rich with Jewish objects and Jewish symbols, so that when people walk into the school, they feel like it's a familiar place, like it's home, like a home away from home, and to really bring the spirit of the holidays to the school through music and dance and practicing the different traditions. And my school is a very diverse school. We have Jewish families, we have non-Jewish families. So also bringing that feeling of respect for diversity and of different religions, I'd like to bring back to my community. So it was a really amazing experience.
Thank you, Rachel. I want to invite Tina. She is teaching at Temple Bet Shalom Children's Center in Needham. So as you can see, we have a diversity of where they're coming from and where they're sharing their experience. So she's going to...
Yeah.
Well, you're going to
Yeah, I'll talk. Good morning. I'm Tina Golden. I teach with the youngest group of Temple Beth Shalom in Needham. And I had a most moving experience. And I think that when people ask me what was made the most impact for me, it was when we were in the Independence Hall, because I had the opportunity of meeting up with my father's cousin, who I haven't seen for a number of years, who in fact is a Holocaust survivor. He lives in Tel Aviv and had never been in the Independence Hall, and he joined us. And to sum it up, I was totally verklempt, as was he. He said, I've been here for 50 years, never been in this museum, and I am very moved by this. So I felt that that was such a personal as well as educational experience for me. The second part is, for me, was how can I bring this experience back to the children in my classroom? They're so young. And I would like to recommend to anybody who goes to Israel next time that you have a theme. I took lots and lots of pictures of natural things that grew. I took lots and lots of pictures of Hanukkah. I took lots and lots of pictures of people, and never enough. And I think if I'd had a theme like I'm going to show you ahead of time, I would have even had more. And so I took it, being little children, I made this, the colors and faces of Israel. So I often put Velcro on the back and put it up on the wall so children can take it down and hold it, and you can see it, Wendy. So they can take it and sit on the floor and look as a group. We also in our school blog, and I've been asked to blog. So every time I do bring something into the classroom, I put it on our school blog. I've been invited by other classrooms to come in and talk about Israel. I also made this I don't know what I do with that, this basic book. Just take, there's a dedication that I've put in the first page, thanking the CJP, thanking Hebrew College, thanking our tour director. We had such a marvelous tour guide, and thanking my school, thanking Raquel, Naomi, everybody who was so important on this trip. And it's pretty basic. It's very easy for the children to look at this book. It's all of us, the travels, it's the hotel, and it's taken from She rode the cable car. I rode the cable car. And as they looked at it, this book, they kept saying, "Where are you? Where are you?" And my school, I had such a marvelous partner, Bina. So it was Tina and Bina. So we're going to write a book, Tina and Bina. And I felt like I was related to her. So Bina, if you see this, hi. Oh. Riding a camel, of course, and lots of lemon and pomegranate trees and shook pictures. So the kids really like this, and you'll see them sitting on the floor, you know, looking at it. And so I guess the most important, the most meaningful for me was how was I going to take this back to my classroom for my little munchkins. And also, it was the first Aliyah Museum, this little card that we got, which really tied it all up for me. It just seemed like I wanted to know more and more about the people of Israel. Thank you.
Apologies, I was scheduled to come at the end, but I have to go to another meeting, so I just want to take the opportunity to do the one thing that we have to do before we leave here today, which is to thank Raquel very much.
And now,
Your enthusiasm for this whole project, for the work that you do with educators, for your natural inclination to teach wherever you are, whatever you're doing, it's just a breath of fresh air for all of us. So we want to thank you. We definitely want to thank Ruth and the Boston-Haifa connection. We want to thank our consulate for being here today as well. But most importantly, to all of the presentations I've heard, and I'm apologizing to Johanna and to Nelly, who I'm going to miss, but I'll hear more about it when we talk. But it's just amazing and breathtaking to see what you have gained from this experience. I was at the Martin Luther King Memorial Service in Atlanta on Monday, and a young child came up and talked about the dream, Martin Luther King's dream, and she said at the end, if you want to keep the dream alive, you have to wake up. And what I think you've done is woken up to the reality of Israel, and yet kept the dream alive for our young children about what the miracle of Israel is all about. So I appreciate and I acknowledge all your hard work, and thank you very much. Sorry.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you. תודה רבה. Joanna is the director of Temple Shalom Preschool in Newton, and she was involved with the program for a long time. And one of the things that, you can just hold it, one of the things that inspired me, traveling together with Johanna and Naomi, to have people that were involved with this program before, and they could share their knowledge and what they did with the entire groups. It was very, very enriching. So thank you, Johanna.
Okay. My name is Johanna Perlin. I am the director at Temple Shalom in Newton. About 12 years ago, Naomi approached me and said, we're starting a Boston-Haifa early childhood partnership. Is your school interested in participating? And I decided to try it out and throw a little pebble in. And I first want to thank, again, CJP and Boston-Haifa for enabling this program to grow and deepen. I'm going to try to put into words what the effect has been on our school over the years, on me personally in terms of my own spiritual and professional growth and development, but I don't have time to do that. So I'm going to throw out a few words. I also want to use kind of a tried and true picture of a pebble being thrown into water and the ripples just keep going out and out endlessly and not stopping. I will always thank Naomi for pushing me into this. As my school has grown and more staff has gotten involved, we've had many different levels of effect by being part of it. In terms of teachers, it's inspired them to take classes at Hebrew College through this because they wanted to learn more Hebrew to bring into the classroom, as Susie can attest. They've volunteered on their own time to take Israel 101. There's the staff who've been able to go to Israel and come back have served as a catalyst for inspiration and excitement and commitment that has caught on to the other staff who have not been able to go, so that we have a staff member who on her own became interested in Rami Katz's approach to education and learned enough so that she came to our staff and did an in-service, and yet had never been in a Rami Katz classroom in Israel. We have developed amazing relationships and sharing between the staff in Boston. We still see people who have been on the trips and exchange and share ideas and curriculum so that it's tremendously enriched our program. Our parents are now reflecting narratives of when they've gone to Israel with their children, and I'm sorry now I did not bring one that was very poignant in her writing, of a family who recently went to Israel to celebrate their son's bar mitzvah, and the youngest child, who had been in the nursery school, knew exactly what he was going to see and what he was going to do in Israel, because by our being able to go and by the fact that several staff have gone on multiple trips, that has just built and built and built to the point where when we engage children in Israel, we can engage them on a real basis and not just this country that we love that's a Jewish country, but that we have pictures of us being there, and we have pictures of our Israeli families being there, and of children taking a puppet and having pictures taken with the puppet to bring back, so that the children, even though Israel is a faraway place, can begin to grasp the idea that it is a real place, and it's a very important place for us. And our parents are beginning to grow in interest in Israel, which is one of our goals as well, because we want both children and their families to have a connection, feel a connection to Israel. That person to person is so important. When the Israeli teachers come over here, that is an important component as us going there, because we've had brunches and we've invited our families to come and meet the Israeli teachers, and the Israeli teachers have been able to have interchange with the staff at our school who up until that point had not been able to go to Israel. So we continue that and enlarge that feeling of connection to Israel with all on a number of different levels. And I think that someday my dream is that we are able to make it affordable for our families with young children to have a trip in Israel themselves, because I think that would be kind of the culmination of of all these efforts. But please, I hope we go from strength to strength and we continue this opportunity for early childhood and on both sides of the water. So thank you.
What does this Boston-Haifa connection mean to the Israelis? What are the Haifaim gaining from this experience? They are tremendously invested in this program, and for them it's really been an ability to professionalize their experience. When you have a sense of peer review and peer interaction, it really forces you to reflect on your work and to take a very serious and in-depth look at what it is that you are doing. The networking experience has also created a viable network for them in Haifa. Despite the fact that they have so many professional opportunities and so many professional workshops, they really did not work together as a local network. And since we started this Boston-Haifa connection, that has grown in Haifa as well. Coming to the United States, coming to Boston and seeing our preschools has given them a much greater appreciation for the work that they are actually doing in Haifa. When they have over 30 children in a classroom with one assistant, and then they come and see the number of children that we have, the resources that we have, it really makes them value the tremendous work that they are doing. One of the things that they are very eager to see when they come here is the latest in the technology, the new modalities that we are fortunate to be able to work with. They're interested in family education, and in fact Randy one year ran a workshop when we were in Haifa about family education. It gives them a very deep appreciation for the diaspora, for what are Jewish families, Jewish preschools doing to foster Jewish identity. You would think that it would be obvious that in Israel it would be so easy to create a sense of Jewish identity, but in fact we're facing very similar challenges. And when they see Haifa, when they see us celebrating Shabbat, doing tzedakah projects, celebrating Havdalah, in fact, on Monday morning in the preschool, it reawakens in them their need to do similar kinds of projects in Haifa as well. When they see the importance that we place on the different holidays, the kinds of activities that we do, they realize that they are not alone in this, and these are shared kinds of curriculum projects that they can have with us. When they come here, they're interested often in the special education services. Don Wertlieb, who was here earlier, was at Tufts and arranged several visits for them at Tufts. It's real important for them to have this connection and for them to visit multiple times. The way that you heard Amy talk or Rachel talk about being in Israel several times. There's so many overwhelming experiences the first couple times that you're in Israel that it takes the multiple visits until you're able to really focus on something that's really important to you, to deepen that experience, and then to be able to really share it with other people. And the same thing happens when the Israelis come here to Boston. It takes multiple times for them to be able to really sort out what is the prime experience and where do they want to run with the diaspora connection. We thought when we first visited 13 years ago, you know, what are the commonalities? Are we really so similar, or are we really so different? What is really going to connect us? And certainly it is the personal connection. When we go to Haifa, we have home hospitality. We've made that a priority here, that they have home hospitality with us. That's when you can really get a chance to be together on a
on a personal kind of a basis. It's really been a very, very enriching professional and personal experience, and it's wonderful to have Rachel continue the project. She really has put her whole heart and soul, so much enthusiasm, so much love for the project, and has really been able to share her passion with the Shagrirot here and in Haifa. So toda rabah, and from Chayil to Chayil.